Hi everyone, I'm back today to react to a video from a woman named Linda Moulton Howe. And let's see, I have my trusty Conscious Life Expo 2025 program here, so I'll read to you about her and you'll get to see her in a second. Emmy and Peabody awarded producer, writer, director, editor, reporter. Linda Moulton Howe is editor of the award-winning news website Earthfiles.com, and we will be watching the Earthfiles YouTube channel. Her Earthfiles YouTube channel has more than 280,000 subscribers for her weekly broadcasts about UFO/UAP news and whistleblowers. Linda appears regularly as an expert guest on History Channel's Ancient Aliens since the first season. The grammar there is weird. She exposes many revelations as quote-unquote truth hunter on Gaia TV. Linda is a leading investigative reporter in the fields of science, earth, and space mysteries. It was sort of a little awkward, actually. But you can see she's a multi-talented woman. So let's take a look at her. And I think the live stream begins a couple minutes into this, so I'll let you look at her beautiful face while, I don't know, I talk about Linda and why I love her. All right. As you can see, Linda looks fun. She has giant white fluffy cats. She seems awesome. She is awesome. I really like her. I think she's a very sweet, nice, well-intentioned person. I think a lot of her sources... Oh, wow. Okay, I did not think that was going to be so loud. Let's pause that. Okay. I think that she takes a lot of her sources a bit too seriously when they don't necessarily warrant it, but I do think she, is probably accurately reporting what her sort of whistleblowers and insiders tell her. Also, she just seems like a nice lady, and she just wants the government to tell us what it knows about what it knows about the aliens. And I think that's fair enough. The government probably should tell us what it knows about the aliens. But also, I really wanted to do a video about her because she's delightful, and because also as a palate cleanser from Jerry Sargent the other day, because Jerry is terrible and I don't like him. Whereas I have very warm feelings towards Linda Moulton Howe, and I paid $50 to see her at the Conscious Life Expo because, she's a big deal, so you have to pay extra to see her. All right. And today's video is about sleep paralysis and whether or not that is aliens visiting the people who experience it. And I especially wanted to do this video, also this particular Linda Moulton Howe video, because someone very dear to me, who I love a lot, experiences and has experienced sleep paralysis. So obviously I'm interested in it because of how much I'm interested in them, and also because it might be aliens, right? So here's the countdown. Let's see how Linda is going to greet us. I hope that she has her cats, although they're really big, so I think it might be hard to have them sit on your lap while you talk about the aliens.
Hi everyone here and around the world. Some good news. This Earthfiles YouTube channel has broken through 275,000 subscribers. I thank you all so much. And if you haven't subscribed, please click on that red button in the lower right of your screen. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us with YouTube. And thank you for all of your get well from flu messages. Last week, I completely lost my voice. But I was also able to read lots of your mail, digital and postal. There are more and more of you coming forward to share your own interactions with non-human intelligences. Your courage to reach out provokes me to keep digging deeper into the phenomenon of human abductions by non-human intelligences that are not only here on Earth right now, but have been interacting with Earth and this solar system for at least 278 million years. And that is according to aerospace, military, and physics whistleblowers who have communicated with me confidentially.
Okay, I'm just going to pause right there because it sounds like she's going into some graphics and maybe the actual lecture bit of this. But also, I just want to say this video is an hour and 10 minutes long. Obviously, I don't want mine to even be that long. So I'm hoping there's going to be boring stuff in here that I can kind of cut out. But now you've seen Linda, and Linda is so delightful, right? Don't you just love her, right? All right, let's see what she has to say about. I guess I put her in a playlist with Tony Gossi. You can see Tony right there. All right.
East, World War II, a few million Earth humans have reported interactions with tall and short humanoids that are not Homo sapien.
I love this picture of the aliens.
Some are described as biological ETs, others as artificial extraterrestrial intelligence.
All right, there's I see they're grays. And there are, it looks like maybe these ones are Nordics. In the brown outfit. There's a reptilian clearly there on the left. I can't identify the other ones. I'm actually not up on aliens so much because there was supposed to be a free lecture at the Conscious Life Expo about the different races of aliens, but it was canceled, so I don't know enough about the races of aliens.
Aliens often use beams of light or basketball-sized spheres of various colored light to interact with Earth humans and animals, including bloodless, trackless animal mutilations around the world.
Okay, and also, Linda got her start with animal mutilations. The Grammy or the Emmy, she produced won a regional Emmy, and it was about cattle mutilations. I think the scientific consensus about cattle mutilations is it's usually predator animals like coyotes, etc. But Linda believes it's aliens. And I also think that, and this is what I recall from Ono, Ross, and Carrie, the podcast episode, one of the episodes about Linda, that the Emmy was actually a regional Emmy for sound design, so not part of it that Linda really had a ton to do with necessarily, but that is one of her credentials. And yeah, animal mutilations is where it all started for her.
Some extraterrestrials, like these small, identical cloned android workers, are allegedly on Earth to harvest genetic materials from Earth life, including human sperm and eggs, for reasons unknown. Trackless animal mutilations.
Oh, I wonder why I did that. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because I was freaking out about these little guys who are collecting human sperm.
33 years ago, between July and September 1991, the Roper Poll Organization conducted a survey of the United States adult population to learn how many people reported, quote, UFO abduction.
Okay, this seems a little bit boring. Blah, blah, blah. UFO abduction. This is some kind of study. Okay, let's see. Here's Linda again. Let's see what she has to say.
And human abductions since September of 1979. That's 45 years ago when I started. One group of people that I have heard from most often have been military families, as if the UFO themselves concentrate on certain human groups who, in this case, would work or live in military facilities above ground or below ground. And in adulthood, those people are often haunted by childhood memories of strange moving lights and beams around their bed at night as well as humanoid-shaped shadows. And sometimes there are actual non-human beings, some small like young children, but others very tall, at least 7 to 8 feet. Terrified, the experiencer in bed remembers trying to move, but could not because they were paralyzed. Recently, in mid-July 2024.
Okay. So here she's talking about sleep paralysis, and my layman's understanding of sleep paralysis is it is something that happens to certain people where they are sort of in this in-between kind of wake and sleep state where they're not able to move their body, right? Their body is still kind of asleep. But they are, awake enough to perceive things, and they tend to see in their room like dark figures, like in a corner, or something like that. And it is weird. It's, it is weird that there's this consistency of experience that basically everyone who has sleep paralysis has the same experience of seeing a dark figure like in their room when it happens to them, which is nuts, right? That seems really weird. My particular assumption is that that's just something that the brain is doing with the situation that it's in, and maybe there's just a way that brains work that makes it do pretty similar things in most people. But I think Linda's going to tell us it's aliens.
I was contacted by a 45-year-old son of a U.S. military father who had been stationed in the 1960s and 1970s at several military bases that included Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
Why do we need
Fort
to know
Bliss, Texas,
all of the places he was
Air
stationed?
Base in West Germany, Loring Air Force Base in Maine. The father worked in U.S. military intelligence operations.
I don't think we need to know this.
And before the father died in 2012 of aggressive brain cancer, he began to share UFO and ET information with his son, who has asked me to call him simply DJ. DJ's...
Oh man, this is actually, I think, what Linda was originally going to give her Conscious Life Expo talk on about. It ended up changing subjects to be about artificial light on exoplanets, which, could go either way as far as which would be more interesting, but that's really interesting. Her insider DJ. Okay.
Other linked UFOs and extraterrestrials to ancient Earth history in Samaria, Egypt, and Greece. The 7 sages of Mesopotamia included councils of 7 in ancient Earth history. They worshipped the Eternal One. That eternal being exists outside of time and is the source and goal of everything else that exists.
Isn't she just talking about like God or gods in general? Like, isn't that sort of the... Anyway.
Councils of 7 in Samaria, Egypt, and Greece were described in this ancient poetry. The Eternal One has made a covenant oath with us. Asheru has made a pact with us, and all the sons of El, and the great council of all the holy ones, with oaths of heaven and ancient earth. Close quote. Recently, I talked with DJ about his childhood.
That's so jarring, right? So now I'm wondering, I'm sorry, I kind of want to go back. Like, what did she say this was from?
Were described in this ancient poetry.
Ancient poetry?
The Eternal One has made a covenant oath with...
But, like, what was the source of this ancient poetry? Like, where is it from? Is it from a tablet? Is it... are we getting it out of copies made in medieval manuscripts? I don't know. And I, in another life, I was an ancient historian. So yeah, I'm interested in the sourcing of this, because also Ashira, the mentions of Ashira and El, that sounds related to Judaism. Basically, El is like I think a proto. So I wasn't a Judaism scholar, and my friend who's the Judaism scholar is going to tell me that this is messed up. But Shira, I remember specifically, was like the spouse of the Hebrew god in ancient times before the religion was sort of more settled and codified, and before it was truly monotheistic. And Ashira gets kind of written out of history, or written out of official biblical history. So it does sound kind of like that, but I don't know. I should probably ask an actual scholar who knows about this stuff.
Us. Asheru has made a pact with us, and all the sons of El, and the great council of all the holy ones, with oaths of heaven and ancient earth. Close quote. Recently, I talked with DJ about his childhood, to adult interactions with a variety of extraterrestrial biological entities in the context of his military intelligence father's knowledge of extraterrestrial humanoids and technologies interacting with Earth.
He told me that the Council of Seven in the ancient writings, he said that's true.
I searched the number 7.
He said that's true. Like, is that all he said about it? See, this is the moment where the scholar in me really wants to stop and like do some actual research. So, you know what? Give me a second to Google, like anyone else. Okay, after some very cursory internet research, and take that for what it's worth, I think I was mostly right. So both El and Ashira are Semitic deities, obviously sort of in the long train that ends up with Judaism. But, you know, also obviously Semitic religions are broader than that. And that particular text that she was quoting is a translation of a Phoenician amulet, let me see, from the 7th century BCE. And there have been a couple of different translations of it. She's using the one that is a little bit more kind of easy to read, I guess I would say. But it's not clear that El is even mentioned in it, because there's another translation that doesn't mention El. So anyway, just to say, and then we're gonna go on to these 7 sages of Mesopotamia, and I'm a little less clear on this. Obviously there's a Wikipedia page about it, but it seems like these are figures that are demigods in Sumerian and Akkadian culture, you know, and it seems like they show up in a lot of different contexts. So, not as clear about that, personally. All right, let's keep going.
With the physical number 4 and spiritual number 3. If you search the number 7 in the ancient world, you will find words like these, quote, "The League of 7 are the magically assigned leaders of the 8 races created by the 7 most intelligent gods at the time of the formation of the Council of 7 some 2,000 years ago. The council sacrificed their lives."
Okay, this is boring. She's reading something that's like doesn't seem obviously relevant to me. Oh, here, she's going to talk about the Anunnaki.
Are absolutely real on Earth.
Yes, that a lot of the stuff found in the real ancient writings, such as Sumeria, is all true. That he knew for a fact it was all true. He did tell me that he had a file of documents in his room that I should read the whole thing. So after he passed, I sent a bunch of stuff back with my mother and my twin sister to South Carolina, where I am now. And when I got here, I went into that box to try to find that.
Okay, whatever. I don't care what these documents are. I guess the Anunnaki are real. And the Anunnaki, my understanding is the Anunnaki are like, I don't know if they have any kind of real origins. Oh my gosh. But my understanding in the UFO world is that they are basically ancient aliens that showed up and manipulated humankind and interfered in our progress, and that they're primarily associated with sort of Sumerian culture by the current UFO people. So I guess that makes sense, but this guy is so boring. Okay, let's see what he's talking about now.
Shining right through the window.
Okay, he's going to talk about his
Room
experience.
together as we were just young toddlers. And one night I woke up out of a sleep and the entire room was lit up like it was daylight, shining right through the window, and light just pouring in, and it didn't make sense to me. So I covered up my entire body with a blanket. And then a moment later, I heard in a robotic-like voice the word beam, like a sunbeam, just the word beam. And then the next thing I know, I'm in a complete white room. I couldn't discern the walls from the floor, from the ceiling, just white. And I'm on like a table or a bench, and my sister is there, and she's freaking out. And I'm trying to calm her down because for some reason I knew that.
I mean, freaking out
I
seems
had been there before and not remembered
like an appropriate
I don't know,
response
but I knew it wasn't
if this
anything
actually
that
happened.
we were in danger of. So I'm trying to calm her down, and then in walk what I call the twins. Two beings that are like an olive color. They looked very biological to me. They didn't have the big.
Is this his personal drawing of them? Dude, like, is it? This is unoriginal, and I'm I mean, your art skills are questionable. I'm not saying that everyone has to be, great at drawing, but I feel like you should, I don't know, they should have a little bit more detail at least, but this is really funny. Also, like, the handwriting here looks like a child's handwriting. So is this a picture he drew when he was a kid? Did he draw this picture when he was a kid and now he's like retrofitting like everything that happened, this incident? All right.
Black eyes. They had littler eyes. Kind of looked almost Asian in appearance, I would have to say.
Oof. I do not like that. Dude, no, I don't like it.
To us without moving their mouth. And I remember them saying, "You're twins?" asking us rhetorically. And I said, "Yes, we're twins." And the
if they were asking that rhetorically, you shouldn't have answered.
being said back to me, "We're twins too," as they're both standing there and they look identical. And later on, I figured that was due to their genetic cloning that they do or whatever.
That they were clones.
Yeah, that was the impression I got. It seemed very interested in the fact that I had a twin sister. Like, I don't know if they really...
Why? I don't care. Let's skip ahead a little bit. I'm sorry. I know that we're kind of missing stuff, but, like, this guy's boring most of the time.
My father gets home, and they bring me to the hospital, which was at Fort Devens, and I was immediately admitted. I only saw 4 people. My dad, the doctor, and the 2 nurses who participated in the procedure when I was admitted. Those were the only 4 people I saw the whole time. The curtains were drawn to my room the entire time. I never had any roommate. Every time they moved me to...
Okay, now I'm regretting skipping ahead a little bit because I don't know what kind of medical incident he's having. But if he has this crazy experience where his whole room lights up and he gets abducted by a beam and he's in this white room with his sister and then is describing being taken to the hospital for some kind of medical emergency, I think that those two things could be related in not the way he thinks they're related. I think maybe his experience is part of that medical emergency, maybe.
The lab, I believe it was in the middle of the night because I never saw anyone else there. That was very bizarre.
Okay.
Did you ask your dad what is going on? And did you link it, even at 6 years old, to the light beings that had come into your room?
At that point, I was so young, I don't think it clicked.
What is up with
As I
this
got
weird
older,
AI
I was
image?
thinking about it,
AI looking
but I
image,
began
at
to
least.
wonder, and then I had seen a thing on TV talking about genetics, and they said that if a scientist wanted to alter the genetics of an already living organism, that the best way to accomplish that would be through a retrovirus. Now, on this document that I had, it was a diagnosis document. Circled was the word virus, question mark, on the document.
Oh my god. So I think what he's implying here is that the aliens were messing with his genetics with the retrovirus because one of his medical documents said virus question mark. Like he could have how many viruses are there? And also they didn't even clearly, it's implied from what he's saying that they didn't even confirm what kind of virus he may have had. They're just, whoever was attending him was just saying like maybe he has a virus. These two things have nothing to do with each other.
That I now can't find.
It was in some kind of...
Of course you can't find it. Oh my god, it's a piece of paper from this time he went to the hospital, supposedly, that says virus question mark somewhere on it, which wouldn't prove absolutely none of what he's saying anyway, but then he also can't find it. Like, all right, man, you're taking advantage of Linda. I don't like it. You're taking advantage of Linda's credulity, and I don't like it.
Of a box where you live now, and that somehow this document suddenly disappeared?
Yeah, it was with my father's documents, all in the same file box, and all my medical records from when he was in the military was in that. I read that full.
Oh my god. It disappeared because what? The government took it because it's impossible to lose a document among a pile of other documents. I don't know.
A couple times. Once while he was in the hospital getting ready to pass. Except
Okay, whatever. Sorry, skipping a little bit.
mine too, dealing with that particular case. But it's very bizarre.
Starting at age 5 and coming up to now, your life is still impacted by these beings?
Oh, absolutely. I remember one time I was just not cooperating on the ship. So I just was freaking out. This is strange because I kind of remember two human-looking people, and one of them asked the ET entity if it could calm me down because I was just freaking out. And then the next thing I know, I see this entity shape shift into my own mother.
Wow.
And
Oh my god. Is this another one of his pictures? When did he draw this one? Also, I don't dispute that if you were abducted, if it actually happened to you that you were abducted by aliens when you were 5 years old, which let's not even talk about the credibility of memories you're recalling from when you were 5 years old. Yeah, I'm sure it would have an impact on you when you were 45 still. Sounds like a pretty traumatic event, but maybe the traumatic event was just having to go to the hospital. I don't know, man.
like, yeah. And I'm like, huh? So it immediately calmed me down, and I wasn't screaming anymore. But I couldn't understand how she got there. So I'm just kind of staring at her, and I'm calmed down, and then they do whatever it is that they do. They were reading something about me, I think, because they didn't do anything physical.
I feel like this caption illustration by DJ of Mother in green jacket. It almost... Okay, he must have drawn this as a child, right? Because, I mean, no. These days he would have used Photoshop or something, right? So this must be from when he was a kid.
But they're all behind these screens and stuff. I don't know what. But the thing about this is, the holograms of my mother they had, she was wearing this green corduroy coat that I'd never seen before. 2 years later, she went out shopping, and she came home with that same coat.
Like a top.
This is literally just someone poorly remembering their childhood. Why would the ETs, know the future about some and know it in the sense that they knew a coat that your mother was going to buy in the future and put that on her hall. Like, I don't even know. Oh, sorry, I have to sneeze. All right, sorry, I didn't want to sneeze on y'all.
Time slip.
Yes, like they had taken a vision of her in the future and showed it to me then. That is 100% absolutely true, because I will never forget that. When she came home with that coat, my mouth like hit the ground, like I was blown away. And I think that is what started piecing together the memories and the fact of what was actually happening to me.
It's my understanding from, let's say, some military and aerospace people who have talked to me about the fact that we're dealing with advanced intelligences that are manipulating time.
Absolutely.
This is...
Oh, yeah, I mean, the Greys, they manipulate time. I don't know, man. I think this guy's story is kind of boring. Let's skip a little bit. How are we only 20 minutes in?
we're coming to Earth to interact with you.
Almost like faster than the speed of light, go back in time.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do know that there's also...
This is also just like seeding things to this guy. Like she's saying, oh, well, like, you know, do you think that that's because the ETs can time travel? And then he's like, yeah, the ETs, yeah, I guess it's because they can time travel. Like, this is not helpful, Linda. All right, whatever this vortex is, we're leaving it behind.
That they went to the future in time, accessed something that you would do in the future, decided that they would go back to the present, make you go through a dream or go through an experience.
Whoa, this is so convoluted. Sorry, I can't. Mm-mm. Oh, wait, here's some more of his drawings. I enjoy those because they're so terrible. Wait, is that bad? Am I making... But the thing is he probably drew them as a child, so I probably shouldn't make fun of them. But then I don't know that he drew them as a child. Maybe he drew them recently. Like, I don't know.
The pictures, we covered the twins, nicked with the gray that's kind of purple sheen.
It almost seems like maybe he drew them to make them look like he drew them when he was a child, but maybe that's too extra skeptical. I don't know. Here, what is this thing? This is new.
And the cloak, and then the little guy underneath him. The eyes that are a little bit different. Those are my guys. I know
those are his guys.
Before on your interviews, you call a Merther.
A Merther, yeah.
Of course, he listens to Linda, right? So he knows all about what kind of ETs they are. These are Merthers? I haven't heard of these.
Merther. The Merther is a word that has come into the minds of some humans that have been abducted as being tall grays. Instead of short, they're very tall and their heads are large. Their eyes are the slanted black lenses that are definitely lenses on top of their eyes. And the Merthers have been related by abductees as being extremely advanced intelligences that are somehow perhaps overseeing, dictating, controlling what has happened to what the abductees feel, that we humans on Earth are a huge experiment, and that all these interactions...
Okay, this seems to be a central thesis of Linda. One of the things she said at the Conscious Life Expo talk was that our moon is a machine made by the gray aliens to spy on us because they've been interfering with like our humanity's progress and our genetics and stuff like that. So that's a big part of like her whole lore world, and it really feels like who knows, but it feels like she's trying to make this guy's story kind of fit into that. Also, Merther came into their mind, so that's what we call them now.
With other beings is because there is monitoring and interaction with the Homo sapien experiment.
Absolutely. I feel exactly that entire thing that you said. So
okay, him being like, I feel exactly that entire thing that you said. It's just, he's just feeding off of her and telling her whatever already fits with what she wants. Like, that's not. Mhm. This guy is not the most interesting insider I've ever heard. Okay. Here's some more drawings. I don't know why I like these so much. I just think they're hilarious.
That the droids seem to have bigger eyes than the more biological ones.
Right.
That's because, as you can see in the pictures, the almond shape goes the opposite way, and it makes their eyes look bigger. And that's.
I can't. I can't. Okay, they were androids and they were biological aliens, and their eyes look different because they're almond shaped but oriented different ways, and I guess this thing in the middle is their spaceship. Why does this 45-year-old man have all these drawings from his childhood that aren't even good? Yeah, I just really wish this is not what he was doing with his life.
You can tell the droid from a more biological one. In my experience, the biological ones, the points point inward, and on the droid one, they point outward.
In my experience. Like the one time I was abducted when I was 5, which is just like not verifiable in any sense of the word. Okay, in your experience.
I don't know why. That's just what I noticed in my experiences. And when they talk about when you're in the craft and it's lit up, like you can see light, but you can't see where the light is coming from. The first time I was in there, I must have stared at a light.
This is boring again. But like, again, as far as I can tell, obviously I know we've skipped around a little bit, but this is all based on one experience he had when he was 5. Like everything he knows. Well, and also the fact, I guess, that his father told him about the Anunnaki, but he didn't spend a lot of time on that anyway. He's mostly talking about like this experience when he was 5. So, okay, here's it. Man, he just drew all the pictures of these aliens.
Almost like a flat panel screen that you would see today. And they grabbed this little, almost like a headset, and they put it on, and you could see the nerves on the screen. So I'm guessing that it was like a neural computer network, and it shifted all.
Oh my god, this, like, I can't. First of all, he, as a child, I guess he drew this whole thing, and it's so hard to tell whether this is something he drew because it happened, or he's thinking it happened to him because he drew all these weird pictures as a child, which, like, didn't we all? It really just sounds like he had a weird dream.
Around and matched up with the entities, so they were the same and connected.
Also, I thought we were going to hear more about sleep paralysis. Like, I thought we were going to hear a general theory of what sleep paralysis is and how it's related to the ETs, but it's just been about this one guy.
That's all I know about it because I was like 7, so I don't really know much.
Okay, he was
else.
7.
But then he asked if I wanted to try it, and of course I was like, yeah. So he put it on me, and then I saw the little things line up, and then it all interconnected, and apparently now, like that craft, if I were to come across that craft, like in a field, I could probably get into it.
By doing what?
Just by being there.
Okay, so he's, he looked at some weird things on his screen, and now he can open an alien ship should he ever come across one.
The presence of your body with the very specific DNA coding and RNA coding that you have, that the body code in the genetics itself can open up UFO craft.
Probably. I think it might be more neurologically based, more conscious.
Probably. Dude, like, don't say this. You don't actually know. You have no fucking idea. Alright, I don't know. Okay. What is this thing? Quantum entanglement visualized. Okay, let's see what that is.
Self across this universe is, for humans of all advanced consciousness, it has to do with your pineal gland and then quantum entanglement of atoms.
See, I love that there are people out there doing really good work to do public science and educate the public about science. I find that stuff super interesting. But, there is this side to it where someone hears someone talk about the concept of quantum mechanics and then just goes into this whole other world where it's like becomes Deepak Chopra or something. It's just like this little amount of knowledge just seeds their theories with some kind of legitimacy, at least to them, but has no relationship to any of the actual science that anyone was actually trying to tell you about. It's just you just like have latched on to this phrase and use it the way you think you use it the way you think the meaning is. That was awkwardly phrased, but it's not like I don't want these people to learn about science, but it just feels weirdly dangerous that they're getting all of these little ideas that they pull in to make their stuff sound a little more legitimate.
Quantum entanglement of atoms actually looks like a yin and yang symbol. The yin and yang is Taoist and represents the balance between two opposing forces that are interconnected and yet constantly changing. It's a circle made up of black and white swirls with each section containing...
I mean, I know this is pulled from some actual article maybe, but it feels questionable to me. I don't know.
a portion of the opposite element. The yin and yang symbol represents the idea that opposites can complement each other and create
Okay, we don't need to hear the yang. Okay, here's Linda. Let's look at Linda's beautiful face. Tell us some things.
Is an indivisible whole. And since the Cambrian explosion 1/2 billion years ago, our planet has gone through multiple...
I'm really glad that she's not a young Earth creationist, at least. I mean, I think she's an alien creationist, but at least she believes in old Earth.
Mass extinction events, which occur with a surprising periodicity of approximately every 26 million years, as well as innumerable Yuga cycle transitions of lesser intensity. In every extinction cycle, the 7 sages, also known as the Council of Seven, came to the Earth and have been described as repopulating this planet with life forms after the very...
Where are they described as doing that? By whom? Because, I mean, human history is not that long, Linda. Okay, well maybe she'll tell us.
Cataclysmic episodes were over. Earlier this summer of 2024, I interviewed Marshall V.N. Summers, the longtime writer of the Great Waves of Change and the Allies of Humanity books. At one point he said, quote, "We humans are entering a universe of intelligent life we know nothing about," close quote. And I said, and there is a lot of deception. It's like Earth is in play and has been for a long time. And the game is genetic manipulation of already evolving primates, humanoids, and other Earth life. But what do the non-humans really want from Earth life and Homo sapien? If all were good and okay, wouldn't we have been told centuries ago?
I mean, if that's... Yeah, I mean... So, see, this is the thing, is that Linda is a smart woman in her own way. And some of the questions she asks make sense if you're starting from her premises about how the world works and how the aliens work. I just wish that, she's so... I really like her. I think she's totally delightful, but, I really wish she were directing this energy at something that is more immediate to human survival, because, frankly, we need it. We need all the energy we can get.
That question haunts me as we come to the end of 2024 almost, and going into 2025 to 2030 time period that CIA and SADIA controlled remote viewers studied back in the late 1980s. According to controlled remote viewer Lynn Buchanan, each of the several government remote viewers had seen that by 2030, there were great changes on Earth, such as lots of water covering what we have known as solid land.
Yeah, that's called climate change. That's what's gonna happen with climate change.
DJ told me that the twin grays that he sketched and the purple gray female he has seen many times, he said those beings have told him that the huge 1,100 feet long Apophis asteroid will be dangerous. It is supposed to come close to Earth twice.
Yeah, I think there have been some kind of reports of an asteroid having a 2% chance of collision with Earth by like 2030 or something like that. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that at this point, honestly. Maybe it would be for the best.
On April 13th, 2029, when it will pass within only 19,000 miles from Earth. Because Apophis is so large and will come so close, more than 2 billion people on Earth's eastern hemisphere will be able to see the bright asteroid as it is expected to pass over Earth without collision. The second close approach will be in 2036. NASA publicly states it doesn't expect collision at that time or the other time, at either time. But DJ told me the Greys in his life have warned that the Apophis asteroid could hit Earth. He says what...
Okay, so he's still talking to the aliens to some degree. Also, this is another thing that I know from her Conscious Life Expo talk is that she believes that the Greys let the asteroid that made the dinosaurs extinct hit Earth because they wanted to get rid of the dinosaurs and try making mammals their thing. Yeah, so I guess this is maybe part of that.
Whatever they tell him will happen, has happened. So even if NASA thinks Apophis is not going to collide with Earth, DJ worries that the non-human beings might be right because he has never known them to be wrong.
All right, good. Okay, so if in 2036 Linda is still around and this asteroid doesn't hit Earth, will DJ, say he's sorry for lying to us about the aliens?
Hi, Ian. I'm so glad you recovered from COVID at the time that I was sick with flu and that you were back.
Why are we talking to Ian?
And I'm so eager to learn what questions and comments are flowing in tonight's chat about a subject here done in more depth than normal that I think is going to become more and more front page because so many people are beginning to emerge from talking very frankly about their abduction experiences.
Hi, Linda. Yes, it's great to be back, and it's great to have you back with us again as well.
I don't know who this is.
The live
I
show.
guess his name's Ian.
And this is a topic that you're covering that is personal to myself as well. I've had a lot of experiences of sleep paralysis myself over the years,
Okay.
and some experiences were pretty terrifying. We've got Jude.
Yeah, I mean, and just to not discount this, sleep paralysis sounds so terrifying. Like, just so frightening, so scary. Seeing, a creepy figure, not being able to move, feeling threatened and being paralyzed, that sounds terrifying. And I'm sure that, if you had that terrifying experience, maybe there is some comfort in coming up with an explanation for it that's maybe not entirely negative or even just knowing what it is. Because I think that, again, like if people who have sleep paralysis have this commonality of experience and it's weird, we can't maybe totally explain it, why it manifests in that particular way, then yeah, maybe it's helpful to feel like you know why it's happening and what you're actually seeing, because it does sound really really scary. But still, I don't know if thinking it's aliens is that helpful. But then I haven't had it, so maybe it is.
Gail in the chat today has said that 2 people sleep paralysis, and this is what I think is fascinating as well, is when it's corroborated by more than one person, show that an event actually happened. Jude says, we heard the door open and the floor creaking. My friend was sleeping on the couch. I was sleeping on the floor. We both tried to jump up, but we were unable to move.
Is this
We
just
didn't
some
remember
random
anything
person's
else the
experience?
next day. So again, it seems like they're
Is he just reading from the chat? Because she said she wanted to take things from the chat. Is the rest of this just her taking people's random experiences from the chat? Maybe. It does look like it's just her, Chad, talking. So maybe the presentation part is over. Okay, let's sample a little bit of this and see if it's worthwhile.
There's no question in my mind that the 1950s and the 1960s, coming after World War II, which has been described by a physicist from originally, I think, a German who was working in the United States, as an extraterrestrial war fought through human bodies. And that in the United States, there's no question that there were these spikes of UFO activity beginning in the White Sands area and parts of New Mexico. And then the next wave outside of what was happening around UFOs all over the place, where we were trying to use the German physicists to help us develop rockets. There were many observations of something round, spherical, disc shape, where we were doing launch tests. And in addition to the launch tests, there began in what I would say would be the late 50s, there were bloodless, trackless animal mutilation cases, but they weren't identified as having anything to do with UFOs at the time. By the 1960s, animal mutilations was beginning to be a subject that was
Linda
being
loves her
reported
animal
in
mutilations.
Australia and many, many parts of the earth. By the 1970s, and that year 79, when I read the headlines in the Denver Post and the Rocky Mountain News, both using the verb, the return of animal mutilations, bloodless, trackless.
From them saying the return of animal mutilations in like a headline in a newspaper is not proof of anything. Like, that means nothing. Well, I wonder what Linda thinks about crop circles.
The return of is when I began to realize that here was this association between dead, bloodless, trackless, no tracks around the body, having law enforcement and others look to the sky, and then having the phenomena show up at night, putting beams down. So by the 70s, animal mutilations and UFOs were bound together, and paralleling at about the same time were human abductions like the Betty and Barney Hill case in 1961. And then when you get up to when I finally started, I have to get to the bottom of this bloodless, trackless animal mutilations story, and I've got to get pathologists and I've got to get people who can study the tissue, that by the turn of 79 to 1980, Bud Hopkins' Missing Time book came out right at the time where I'm September 79 to May 25th of 1980, and A Strange Harvest was broadcast. Bud Hopkins...
Yeah, Strange Harvest, I think, is her TV piece about the mutilations.
Has his book Missing Time published at about exactly the same time. And here we were on the conference schedules.
Y'all, if there were conferences where you could go talk about this stuff, then yeah, no wonder you're both working on similar things at the same time. It's clearly popular.
Talking about two phenomena that really were becoming clear were probably linked to UFOs and ETs, but it took a long time to get to that link and association. And Ian, doesn't that the evolution from World War II, described by a scientist as an extraterrestrial war fought through human bodies?
This is another thing she's really into is that World War II is an extraterrestrial war fought through human bodies, and that Hitler was working with Nordic aliens who were the ones who actually designed the final solution, i.e., the Holocaust and the mass genocide of Jewish people and others. Um, she's really, that's a big feature in things that she talks about. She brings it up a lot. And I think, my friend and I who watched her Conscious Life Expo talk felt like, where she brought this up, I think that Linda is well intentioned with this, but I do think that this is a problematic narrative because it removes human agency from genocide. Like, we know that humans can commit horrible acts, including genocide. That's not in question. It's happening literally right now. So it kind of bothers me that this is such a big feature of her lore, but I don't think that she's thought about those implications at all. Like, I don't think that she is trying to take responsibility away from people necessarily for these evil acts, but she is by the kind of story she's telling. So she wouldn't do that.
Coming up through the 50s and the 60s into the 70s, that it was as if there was some kind of a control, an evolutionary control through time from that war to where things were in our face by the beginning of the 1980s.
Okay, I don't care what Ian has to say. Let's see. Okay, she's getting animated again. Let's skip a little. Let's see where she's making a fun. Okay, she's waiting to. Okay, she's answering. So let's.
Experienced sleep paralysis a lot. One night I saw something creeping by my bed. It turned to look at me with huge red eyes and let out the worst sound I'd ever heard.
People are just talking about their nightmares.
The thing that keeps coming to my mind is that we are not dealing with one intent. We're dealing with many different intents, and that there is some sort of pecking order of those that have more control over others. And rather than just guessing at it, it would be very interesting to put out to everybody who's here, have they had a face-to-face conscious interaction in, whether it's paralysis or anything else, with what they consider to be an extraterrestrial? And did they intuit or sense that it intended to do something to them that might be harmful? Or some people say, I don't think that they wanted to hurt me, as if there is some gradation in the...
Okay, I just looked at Linda's nails, and they're silver, and they're very nice. I like them. She has a lot of style. I like her little metallic-y jacket she's wearing. Just love her style in general, but this is boring. Because I would like to hear her list the ETs, but she doesn't want to do that because she wants you all to tell her what ETs were talking to you. Okay, okay, let's do one more before she starts wrapping things up.
With a variety of non-humans. You can help us understand what has happened to you. And one of the signals I think that everybody is looking for, are we being given any sign by any direction of beings who do say or telepath, we're not here to harm you, but we need material from your planet.
Oh yeah, this is the other thing that was funny about her talk, is that she was saying that, what if the U.S. government just made a deal with the farmers that they would just give up some of their cattle to the ET instead of having them randomly taken and mutilated? Wouldn't that be solutions problem? But yeah, I'm sure someone feels like they've had an interaction with an ET that has told them that they don't want to cause harm and they just need materials from our planet, because someone has experienced literally everything, especially if we're counting things that happen while you are asleep.
Some kind of trade. And that's come up many times since I did animal mutilations. And right now, given the strange atmosphere of Earth everywhere, potentials of destruction and all sorts of things happening that are all seem negative, going back to the yin and yang symbol.
Linda, the negative things that are happening, with the exception of, I guess, natural disasters, are because of people. People are doing them. We don't need the ETs as an explanation.
Are any of you getting what you feel are signals to hang in there, that whatever is rough now, that it will evolve, or the opposite, that
I wish I was getting a signal from the ETs to hang in there, because I wish they were coming to take me. There's this great song that got popular on TikTok for a minute. Gosh, what is her name? I will look it up, but there's this artist. She's kind of got like a real R&B sound, and the song is called Earth is Ghetto, and it's basically like the lyrics are, Earth is ghetto, I want to leave. Aaliyah Sheffield. Recommended to everyone. When I was going through a hard time with just life stuff and work stuff at the beginning of last year, I listened to that song on repeat so many times. It's just it just really captures what you're feeling. Actually, I'll put a clip in here because I think everyone should hear it. All right, a little bit of a rough transition there, but I love that song so much, and it was really helpful when I was going through a hard time. Even though I guess the answer to hard times seems to be that the aliens should take me away. All right, come on, Linda.
are you getting signals that it could really be rough for a long time? Either way, I would like
That's the signal I'm getting.
know what's going on in your lives.
Okay, yeah, she wants to know what's going on in our lives. All right, Linda, let's wrap it up. I don't know what she's going to talk about, but I want to see. It looks like she has got her cats at the end. I want to see that. Let's wrap it up, Linda. Okay, that's good. Language access is good. Although this is in English, so I'm not sure how that helps people.
Turn on closed captions for YouTube videos.
Oh, okay, this is just about how to get other languages of closed captioning. But here's Linda with one of her cats, which I love. Again, just I'm gonna leave her up there because I love this. Linda seems like a nice person, a smart person, a person with really good intentions. I really like her. I think she could really be using this energy in a more productive way. I am a little bit disturbed by how credulous she is of some of these people, like this random whistleblower DJ. As far as I can tell, this dude just went to the hospital one time when he was a kid, and also when he was a kid drew a bunch of pictures of aliens poorly, I might add, and has turned this into a whole thing. And also is like, honestly, obviously, during the conversation, feeding off of what Linda is suggesting to him. So it's not even like he's making this up, or it's not even like this is all originating from him. He's clearly picking up on what she's interested in and what she thinks happens, and repeating back to her that, like, oh yeah, the aliens totally told me that, and that's correct, or whatever. And that's the thing, is that, Linda is so... I want to be her friend. She seems great, but she needs to be a little bit more skeptical of these people, because I hate to say it, but her worldview seems really, really based on what a bunch of random people who claim to have had these experiences or claim to be government insiders have told her. And I fear that isn't reality. And I mean, like she's saying, we're going through a hard time on Earth. Bad things are going to happen. Climate change is going to flood places, as she said. But I just feel like she could just... I mean, to be fair, Linda is 83. She celebrated her birthday at the Conscious Life Expo. And so I guess life expectancy-wise, she's already sort of getting up there. But I still think she has time and energy left to do a lot of good. Clearly, she's very with it, very, still doing this work that's really important to her. Yeah, I didn't want to end this a little sad, but I am a little sad because of how much I like her and how much I think she's slightly misguided. Also, we learned almost nothing about sleep paralysis, which is why I picked this in the first place. So that also is disappointing. But we got to see Linda. We got to hang out with her. She's always a delight. So, I mean, that's as good as it gets for us on Earth right now, I think, until the aliens do come to pick us up. All right, see y'all.